In Copenhagen, near the end of August 1952, 12-year-old Vivi Ebert came home from school with a headache. The next day, she had difficulty moving her arms and legs. Soon after, she developed a fever, a stiff neck, and partial paralysis, including trouble swallowing and breathing. She had come into contact with the autumn ghost, polio, and Vivi Ebert was going to die. That was the fear for Vivi and for so many others crowding into the Blydam hospital. Vivi wasn't an anomaly or a rare occurrence. No, Copenhagen was in the midst of a major polio epidemic. Ambulances arrived carrying children much younger than Vivi, while worried parents could only watch from the other side of the window. Chief physician Dr. Henry Lassen and his team wanted a way to prevent polio, but instead they were seeing case after case after case. And the question troubling them was, what can we do if they become too paralyzed to breathe? The standard treatment was to place patients in an iron lung, a massive device that wrapped around the patient's body. They were sealed at the neck, and the machine used negative pressure to suck their lungs open. The problem was that these devices were scarce in post-World War II Europe, and the type of polio that Vivi and many others had wasn't helped by this giant machine. Dr. Bjorn Ibsen, an anesthesiologist, had an idea. Instead of negative pressure, he proposed performing a small surgery in the neck that would allow for positive pressure ventilation, blowing air into the lungs. With Vivi's breathing and blood pressure worsening fast, Dr. Lassen granted permission for the experimental treatment. Vivi received a tracheostomy and positive pressure ventilation. It wasn't without close calls, but she made it through and began to stabilize. Dr. Ibsen's new approach to care could save lives, and what happened next rippled around the world and throughout time. The young medical students of the University of Copenhagen became the positive pressure hands pushing oxygen into the lungs. 20 breaths a minute was the instruction. Whoosh, whoosh, for 8 hours a shift. Aching hands and tired eyes stayed vigilant for any issues that arose. Whoosh. And they did, running out of oxygen in the tank, scrambling for a spare, as the patient couldn't breathe. Adjustments were made, redundancies were created. Dr. Ibsen had lowered the death rate dramatically. Doctors and nurses from afar flocked to learn the procedures and treatments provided to the hundreds of polio patients with respiratory failure at the Blydam Hospital. This new knowledge led to advances in ventilators and spurred the creation of what we now call the intensive care unit. It was a response to a disease that couldn't be prevented because there was still no vaccine. By the spring of 1953, medical students were replaced by mechanical ventilators. Vivi Ebert lived, pursued her education, and married, but always needed the support of a ventilator to breathe. Soon after, in 1955, came the miracle of a vaccine for polio. From then on, the autumn ghost began to fade into history's memory. But it is still out there.